What up, Rumi? Tonight's guest is someone who doesn't just write horror. He lives in the uncomfortable corners of the human psyche. Jonny Ward is a horror author known for pushing boundaries, exploring the darker side of human nature, and crafting stories that stick with you long after you put the book down. If you're wondering what it really takes to write horror that disturbs, provokes, and actually makes people feel something, tonight's conversation is going to hit different. Johnny, welcome to Neighbors. What's going on, my brother?
Oh man, just as we were talking about earlier, living in a winter wonderland. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks for being on. I really appreciate you being on, man. And when you had reached out, it was awesome because I always wondered like how people actually like write horror and get into like that genre. Like I really don't have it in me to like write that suspense and that thrill and give people that tingly feeling of all down their spine when it comes to like teasing the mind and the senses.
Yeah, I mean, I never really thought that I would be able to create something that people would love, but I mean, for the most part, it's been pretty well received. So no complaints there at all. It's still kind of crazy to me that people love something that was just a thought floating around in my distracted brain for a little bit.
Why do you think that was? Why do you think that's such like a? Why do you think people wouldn't mess with you like your creative side or wouldn't like be drawn to like your work?
Uh, I don't know. Probably. Uh, I don't know. I mean, I like the idea. I mean, I always had the thought that at least somebody would like it. I wrote my first draft with the goal of I'll publish a book. I really want to do it. If one person likes it, then I'll be happy. But
That's
I
cool.
mean, I don't really tell the stories for other people. I tell stories for me to do what I want to do. I want to do it. If people like it, it's great. Honestly, if 1,000 people wrote negative reviews and said it sucked, I'd probably still be working on my next
Nah, I feel you on that, but that's the beauty of it. People creatives like ourselves, we usually tend to do the work for us, and people usually come together and they fall. I don't want to say fall in line, but they kind of like gravitate towards it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I think a large amount of people have always had a fascination with horror. Obviously, I mean, it's a genre that's kind of stood the test of time. We always
That's a
have
fact.
a fascination with the morbid and a curiosity with kind of every aspect of our life, and the end of that life journey is death. So it's not that all horror explores death, but it's generally a big part of it.
I feel you, bro. So what was the catalyst to the spark of you getting into the genre? Was it something that you always wanted to do, or did you kind of like fall into it?
Well, my journey as a writer kind of started in the sixth grade. I
Okay.
wrote I forget what the project was, but I wrote a short little story about Star Wars, and my teacher, Mrs. Davis, bless her heart, absolutely loved it, and she was like raving to other teachers about it, saying, "You got to write. You should be a writer." And it was always kind of there in the back of my mind. And then flash forward to the eighth grade, Mrs. Campbell, best teacher I've ever had.
Shout out
She
Mrs. Campbell.
Yeah, she always saw, something in my writing. She actually granted me the writing award during, graduation. I still have a plaque somewhere for it. And then in the back of my mind, I'm 35 now, so all through high school into young adulthood, kinda messing around as a, undisciplined youth, I was like, I'm gonna be a writer. I'm gonna be a writer." And I've said this before a million times, but it boggles my mind that to actually be a writer, you have to sit down and write. It's like the cra the craziest thing. And, I got the inkling to kind of start writing a few years ago, 2023.
Okay.
I read a series, this one here behind me, and I was talking to the author a lot, and I was like, you know what, I should write. And then I procrastinated, as my ADD brain does,
Believe
and
me, I know where you're coming from with that one.
then just last year, I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna sit down. I'm gonna write a novella draft, and I'm just gonna finish a draft and see what happens from there. And then I got it done. I like to let things sit for a little bit, Another 3 months went by, pulled it up a couple of times to edit, and I'm like, oh, this is hot garbage. And I put it down, and then again I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I sat down, and as I started getting few pages in, I'm like, there's something here. I kind of see it. I kept polishing away at it, and I eventually ended up with like a product I was happy with.
Or I feel you on that. And so when you so take us like through the process of everything. Like when you're sitting down to like write, what goes through your head? Like what's like your ritual kind of thing? Like what's going on?
I mean, I really wish I was as rigid and disciplined as a lot of writers. I mean, I did establish discipline to the fact that like I have to write something every day. Sometimes it's 3 words, sometimes it's 2,000, but I got to get something out on the page. I mean, I got 2 kids. I work a full-time job. I got a wife that I got to take care of, and I mean, it's really hard finding the time. But even if I was absolutely exhausted, I didn't get to writing any words, I right before bed I'd at least throw hopefully a sentence down just to make sure I got it done and kept moving forward.
I feel you on that. So um do when you're coming up with like an idea, do you usually like stick with it like for a long period of time till like you're done with the project, or do you like jump around? Because I know when I'm like doing my creative stuff, like with music and DJing, I have the tendency of like jumping around and like coming back to something.
With my ADD brain, I do pivot quite a lot to different hyperfixations. I mean, I've been a lover of fandom my entire life, whether it's comic books or something. I'll start a new show and I'll go all in on that, blinders on, nothing else. And then I'll just exhaust myself, and I'll eventually always come back to it. So I've kind of already always bounced around like that. But when it comes to my artistic projects, I know a lot of authors who have, I don't know, 10 projects on the go. I really like to kind of start and then finish. And I don't always. I got a couple of half works in progress now, a couple short stories. But I
Yeah.
mean, I like to stay start to finish if I can.
All right, cool, cool. Do you when you get an idea, right? How do you know it's like good enough to make it like a full story versus like something, or just like an idea for the basket that you could put out later on?
Well, I have my notepad app is absolutely filled with countless amounts of notes. Some are just like a couple sentences. Like I'll think of something and I'll throw it down, and sometimes I'll look back on them and I'm like, oh, like I don't even know what I would do with that, but I just keep it there. Usually it's the ideas that I think about put out, and then I kind of start thinking about them again more and more as I'm going throughout my day. I'll be like, oh, that might be cool. And then those are the ones that I think I put my most focus into.
I feel you on that. Are you like, because, and this is me just comparing and contrasting with like my own creative process. Are you more of a like you'll sit down and like imagine everything and then write it down, or like you'll start writing and you'll start your mind will just start going at it?
More so the latter. Like I know there's a lot of authors who are very rigid with like plotting out. They'll sit down, write, fill up notebooks with this is going to happen, and they'll expand on characters and stuff like that. When I have an idea and I'm actually going to evolve it into a story, move forward with that process, I like to take a few notes. Like
Yeah.
I'll take the general idea. I'll write maybe like a beginning, a middle, and an end. A couple of cool things that might happen along the way, and the more points I have, the longer I know the story generally will be. But they're more kind of signposts as opposed to rigid rules. For example, the book I wrote, there's a character in it that in my original notes, that character was going to die near the end. And then I got about halfway through, and the character almost came alive in my head and was like, you know what? I'm a survivor. I'm going to survive this. And I was like, okay, and I did a couple of tweaks and worked it around, and it just kind of worked out. I usually just kind of wing it. I mean, as I'm going about my day, I think about things. I'm like, oh, maybe this will go, maybe this will happen, and I'll try and steer the story. But I find when I'm writing, I'm actually telling the story to myself more than I'm actually creating the story. And sometimes things are coming out of my fingertips that I do not expect. They actually kind of catch me by surprise.
That's dope. That's
So
really
I
dope. So like,
really
do you?
uh, attest to.
I feel you on that. So when it comes to like developing like the premise or like the kind of like direction you want to go in with your stories, do you kind of like figure out what the horror portion of it is before you develop the story, or do you like let it all rush at once?
Sorry, you cut out there.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I said when you're like developing your premises and stuff like that, do you kind of like create it in a way where you're developing the more horror feeling sense of it versus like just like, all right, cool, I have X, Y, and Z, and then you just flow. Hello?
I I don't really know. I just kind of really fly by the seat of my pants when I'm actually sitting down and writing. Um, I I don't put too much thought into it because I sometimes find myself kind of getting lost in the details. I like to just spit it all out. Then when I come and do my first edit, reading through my first draft, that's when I'll kind of polish it up, add a little more atmosphere if something's lacking, etc., and kind of keep moving that way.
I feel you on that. So what would you say is the hardest part about like coming up with a dope story?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I come up with some pretty weird, traditional, untraditional. Everybody, or at least it won't be, because some of my stories get really out there. Some of them get pretty grotesque and violent. Um, I don't know. I mean, I, I don't think anybody really knows if anybody's going to like their art when they put it out there. They just kind of do what they're really happy with and just throw it out there and hope for the best.
Right? Yeah. All right. So your work usually leans into like psychological darkness. What about the human mind that makes it such a powerful horror material?
I mean, I don't know if my entire career is going to be focused solely on that, but that was kind of what I really wanted to do with my first one. Um, I, I think the idea of our own mind kind of being our enemy or turning on us or breaking down is kind of really terrifying when you can't trust your own thoughts or the things you're thinking. I think that's really scary and can relate anybody can really relate to.
No, I got you on that. And what about, so how do you kind of like explore all of that in like your storytelling? Like when it comes down to it, like how can I say it? Like when you're developing your main character and the twists and turns, like how do you incorporate those kind of notions into your stories? Because we do know that perception kind of makes things better or worse, and that's true about life.
I really like character driven horror, character focused horror. I think when you relate to characters in a story, it really kind of makes you feel like you're there.
Yeah.
With my protagonist Walter, I kind of he's I'd say about 30% me. So I kind of really based him. I mean, his traumatic experiences are a little excessive, definitely nothing I've experienced in my life, but I, I don't know. I think anybody who creates horror or um, really loves horror has some demons maybe hanging around in their closet that they're just trying to get out in a way that is relatable in a medium that feels comfortable.
No, for him. And is there like what are some of like your favorite like horror characters or even authors?
Oh man, there's so many. I love horror as a whole. I mean, I love horror movies. I mean, I love storytelling. I mean, I write horror and I have a lot of focus on horror, but I think I can love a good horror or a good story no matter where it is. Like, I mean, I love 13 going on 30. I love The Notebook. I love Mean Girls. Uh, I know that's funny to say as a horror author, but um, when it comes to authors, I mean, it probably started like any kid in the '90s with their love of horror by reading Goosebumps.
Goosebumps was
And
my shit.
yeah, I mean, come on, it was a phenomenon. You couldn't
Yeah.
go anywhere without seeing Goosebump covers. And then natural progression in high school, I picked up some Stephen King and kind of went from there. Um, kind of as of late, since about 2023, when I really kind of picked up uh, writing and reading again, I've really focused on indie authors. I
Yeah.
think there's so much creativity out there, and the ability to self-publish really gives so many people the freedom to get out there. And on the flip side of that, there is a lot of garbage out there. I'm not going to say that all indie horror is good, but
True.
I really love Tobin Elliott. He's another Canadian author out here. Judah Sonnet, anybody who's in the indie horror world who knows that name. Really like Leslie Camphouse. She writes some extreme horror. Aaron Beauregard, he's writing some really messed up stuff. I mean, there's so many. I'll give anything a try at least once and see what's.
I feel you on that. But no lie though, I really do wish that they would bring back the Goosebumps series, at least for like the kids now. You know what I mean?
Believe it or not, he's still pumping out some stuff.
Oh, he
I
is.
mean, yeah, we had Goosebumps, the original, like 1 to 62, and the Give Yourself Goosebumps, which was like the Choose Your Own Adventure, and then Goosebumps 2000 came out, and he's still kind of coming out with stuff. There was a Slappy World series, a lot of Slappy. Slappy kind of became the Goosebumps mascot for a
Yeah,
while. The most recent one is called House of Shivers.
mm,
I think there's pieces 6 or 7 books in there. I don't know. I haven't really kept up with the new stuff. And I know he just last week or the week before published a new Fear Street novel.
that's so dope. Because actually, I
Yeah.
thought after Goosebumps 2000, I thought the series had died off. Well, yet again,
It
I'm also older, so it's like I kind of like stopped following. But
yeah.
when I was a kid, that ran my whole middle school, middle elementary to middle school years. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm a big thrifter. I love thrifting for books and like other collectibles and stuff, but particularly books. And I'm about 5 books down from completing the original run from Goosebumps 1 to 62, or
Yeah,
is it 64? We have 5 books to go, and I mean, I could just buy them online, but I've kind of made it a goal of myself to either thrift it or find it in a secondhand store. But that's really when I discovered how many other Goosebumps series there are, because they're all in like Value Village. I think you call it Savers out there or Goodwill, etc.
yeah. We call it Go Well out here.
Okay, yeah.
Do you think that the scariest part of like horror or like thriller is it more of like the character and the monster, or is it more of the psychological thrill that's being like imposed?
I think it's kind of the rush we get from watching that thrill. And like I said earlier, everyone's kind of got a fascination with death, and I
True.
think the threat of death is kind of really allows us to think things about ourselves or look at ourselves in certain ways that we might not be able to within other genres. For sure.
No, I feel you on that. Do you think that that most people like look at horror, look at like a psychological thriller, and they kind of compare that or the main character to like themselves because they because people unfortunately have multiple sides to them, and sometimes we tend to think that we're one way, but behind closed doors we're like another way.
I think so in some ways, for sure. I mean, if you look at a lot of the horror that was popular in the 90s, I mean, I'm a big Scream fan. Scream's one of my favorite movies of all time. It really spoke to kind of the generation of the time. I mean, I know what you did last summer as well in some ways, Urban Legend, Final Destination. But Scream, and I think what worked so well within the original Scream was just that thought that it was somebody you know, it's somebody, one of your friend groups, someone really close to you. You have no idea who it is, and it could
Mhm.
be anybody. Maybe it's even you.
I feel you on that. I feel you on that. So like, for like inspiring writers, right? What would be like some pro tips you would give them, or like advice?
I mean, any advice that I always give to any writer, anybody interested in writing, is just write. If you got an idea, just keep writing it out, spit it out. Honestly, you're gonna probably come out with a ton of stuff that's not good. I mean, maybe you won't. I mean, this was the first manuscript I completed, and people seem to really enjoy it. But you need to write. I think with any creative outlet or any skill, because writing is definitely a skill you need to
Yeah.
develop. I think that you really just need to do it. I think a lot of people get so crippled and frozen and trying to think of the best way to do something, or they need to get all their ducks in a row to get where they want to be, or before they do that thing, and they just end up stalling and wasting time, and they could be so much farther ahead. So, I mean, just write, write, write. Once you get done writing, I mean, self-publishing is a pretty straightforward process. There's millions of videos on YouTube. I mean, find an author that you like. I mean, you're not going to get a message out to Stephen King, but I was constantly sending DMs to other indie art authors, and they're
Yeah.
all extremely helpful answering questions. But just get started. I mean, write is the
Now
best thing you can do.
I feel you on that because I tend to be the one. I'm one of those people that they try to master plan things, but then when I plan everything, I never do it. Versus
Yep.
me just jumping in the deep end and just swimming.
Yeah, I think inaction really strives on uh, time. I think it just eats it up. I think if you need to get something done, especially if you're scared to do it, just do it. You need to have a difficult phone call. Don't wait for the best time. Don't make a cup of coffee first. Just pick up the phone and dial it. Make that call. Take action. Just keep moving forward.
That's true, and I've noticed that too. Like a lot of people want to like pre-plan things and kind of like stall off when they already have the intention to do it. So now why not take the action? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it all just comes down to kind of either uh, fear or insecurity. And I mean, insecurity is just a facet of fear, right? I think a
True
lot of
enough.
people can doubt themselves. I definitely doubt myself all the time.
Yeah.
It's really easy to, especially in this day and age when we're constantly bombarded with images of other people's lives and stuff. It's really easy to kind of fall into imposter syndrome and doubt what you're capable of. But I think if you just push through it and it's something you really want to do and you do it, I think anybody will have a lot of success with that for sure.
No, I get you on that because I I have the tendency of facing some imposter syndrome, especially when it comes to like receiving like flowers or any recognition. I'm like, nah, I'm not that great yet. Cool, whatever. Just let me keep working. And I've always found myself to be in a safer zone while I'm working on something versus receiving recognize being recognized for it, or somebody saying, hey, your work is great. I'm like, oh yeah, it's all right, but my safe zone is while I work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that a lot. I mean, a lot of people say don't listen to your haters, but I think it's equally important, if not more important, to not listen to your fans. I mean, not to a degree, but I think I find the most peace when I'm comparing myself to who I was yesterday. So as long as I look at what I did yesterday and what I did today, and if I'm a little bit better, that's great. I don't know if people want to hate on me, that's fine. If people are like, "Oh, you're doing so wonderful," I think that buildup can lead to bigger crashes if other people are kind of hitting you where it hurts and can
Yeah.
cause you to fall a little bit. I think you should, if you just constantly compare yourself to you're going to get pretty far.
No, that's a fact. Because at the end of the day, you could be your biggest fan or your worst critic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I have a tendency to be both at all times.
I feel you 110
Right.
on that one,
Yeah.
bro. I feel you
Yeah.
110 on that. You do not know how many times I've been, you know, behind the decks or in the studio, and I'm there like, yeah, this is a banger. And then the minute I play it for somebody, they look at me like, yo, listen, I don't know. I don't know where you're coming up with this one, but this one right here, you need to put this one away.
Yeah, I mean, in grade 5 and grade 6 was when like me and my friend group were really obsessed with anime. I mean, me and you talked briefly about how we love
Yeah,
Dragon Ball, and I remember being a kid like drawing some Super Saiyan 17 shit, being really stoked about it, and like showing it to my friends, and I see their face like, I don't. It's cool, I guess, and I know they're lying. I'm like, oh damn, man! Like I
like,
thought it was
bro.
so good.
Now I feel you on that. Like, and with anime, the thing about anime that I love the most, and it's I would say it's mostly the writing. I would say because with anime, they have the tendency of showing you how life is and how to overcome like the hardships of life. You know what I mean? Versus like
Yeah.
American storytelling where we show all the fluff and all right, there's not really a big like setback to overcome versus like when anime, hey, you lost everybody in your life, but hey, you're still gonna be the good guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, me and my son are about 2/3 of the way through Black Clover. I don't know if you've watched that at all, but
Boy, didn't you know Black Clover the second season's coming out in the fall?
yeah, I heard that. I need to catch up. We're on episode like 127 or something like that. I
Oh
think
yeah,
there's 172 or something out.
yeah, like
Man,
175.
yeah, I'd always seen it, and like sometimes when things are really kind of trendy, not just animes, anything at all, everyone's talking about how great it is. You see it everywhere. You're like, and sometimes I can get my expectations up a little high, and then when I go and watch it, I'm like, it wasn't all that good. So I don't like to kind of go into things when it's really on that hype train. But
Yeah,
man, I am very upset that I slept on that show. It is phenomenal, and it really I when you were talking about like overcoming adversity, it really made me think of that one.
yeah, no, Black Clover. The way I got into Black Clover was that I was at my boy's crib, right? And
Yep.
we were there chilling, whatever. And I was just flipping through Crunchyroll, and I had seen the advertisement for Black Clover, and I think it was still in the first, I would say 30 episodes when Ashta was still like this juvenile, screaming every 2 minutes character.
Yeah.
Because everybody hates that version of Ashta, but once he gets like a little bit more mature, they're like, this is a real MC here. So I got into Black Clover really early in it, and I was always an advocate. I was like, yo, this is one of those shows that you gotta watch, and it's gonna be a hit. Watch. And then like when it got to like episode, I would say around where you're at, that's when all my
Yeah.
friends were like, all right, cool, I'm gonna check it out. And they were like, yo, you was fucking right.
Yeah, there were so many things where I was like on the edge of my seat. Like even my son, we were like 10 episodes in. It's funny you said that, and he was like, "It's good, it's good." I'm like, no, like let's keep watching. I could see what was coming almost. I was like,
Yeah,
let's keep watching, and it's one of our favorite animes for sure. It is unbelievably good.
it is. It really is. A lot of people slept on Black Clover, and season 2 is going to be phenomenal. If you did you read any of the manga?
No, no, I haven't read any of it.
I'm going to say it like this. Let's just say things get very serious very fast.
I bet. I bet. I mean, I don't want to give spoilers, but there are
Yeah,
things that
yeah. I'm not
really
going to give you
caught
any
me off by
spoilers,
surprise. Yeah, yeah,
but it's going to get real lit, bro.
yeah, yeah. No, I sense it. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I love about anime is because so many of the main characters are kind of like us, the juvenile kind of. Um, I don't know. They're stupid almost at
Yeah,
points, but despite all of that, they just become like badass. You think
yeah.
about
You,
Goku, Naruto. I mean, we finished solo leveling last year. Um,
solo leveling fire. Solo
oh
leveling
man.
by far. I when I stumbled across solo leveling when it was still a webtoon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
So I read the whole entire series, and I actually read
yeah.
the sequel to it, Solo Leveling Ragnarok, and it's about Jinwoo's son.
Oh, I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, yeah. Solo Leveling Ragnarok. If you ever have the opportunity to check it out, it's a really good read. But
Yeah, I'm probably gonna read solo leveling because I don't think I'm really happy with the speed at which this is coming out. Like I think
no,
I'm gonna jump
actually,
ahead.
I'm gonna be quite honest with you. The pacing of the series and the pacing of the manga and the webtoon is right on point.
Okay. All
It's actually really on point. The one thing I do fear is that because of the fact that it's such a big sensation and it's such like this phenomenon happening that they're gonna take it and try to give it prequels and spin-offs and all this other stuff without the main author there because the main author has stopped writing.
yeah.
So I don't want them to like go on and be like, hey, let's do a prequel to this and then not be true to like what the essence of the series is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm really kind of hesitant or nervous for the direction that Dragon Ball is going to take now that Sensei Akira is gone. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, we'll see. I mean, we sometimes we just got to trust that it's in good hands.
True, true. But I am actually pretty upset with the whole news that Dragon Ball is coming out. I really don't feel that they should remake all of Super. I think they should just go into the Galactic Patrol arc and the Moro arc. But they're gonna redo all of Super now.
Yeah, I mean, people have been waiting for Moro for a really, really long time. I mean, I'm all caught up on the manga. That's one that I
Yeah.
definitely have read every last ounce
Uh,
of. But I was thinking because the biggest complaint that everyone has had with Super is the animation,
yeah.
and they're not gonna waste a lot of time. When I saw the Beerus trailer, I was like, really, a third time? I got to watch this story again.
Yeah.
But it's only going to be 6 episodes. Frieza Resurrection F is only going to be 5 or 6 episodes. They're really streamlining it, and it's just going to go straight in tomorrow. We're not going to have to wait forever. I think most of it's actually produced. I think they've produced everything up until Goku Black. So it's not going to be a lot of waiting. At least I hope not. Hope
No, it's not, but they're still predicting that it's gonna be late 2027 to early 2028 before we actually get into the Moro arc.
not. Oh
Like at least
man.
exactly. Exactly.
Oh
And
man.
hold on. Before you keep on, we keep on. I have to ask you one question.
Mhm.
Since you read the manga, did they not steal the W from Vegeta?
They did. They did.
Super took the W from him. I was so upset.
They did. I don't know. I don't know. He's got to get something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see
They
where
gotta
it
stop
goes.
playing my man Vegeta like that, bro.
Yeah.
He trains his ass off, and then on top of that, I think no, I'm confusing that with something else. because I also read this fan fiction called Dragon Ball Kasume.
I haven't read that one.
I'll After this I'll send you the link. But it's really
Okay.
good. I think it's on its like 200th chapter. It's a fan fiction. It's on its 200th chapter. The illustration is amazing and the storyline is amazing as well. It's
Okay.
based off of the premise of Goku getting captured, right? And all the universes that were in the Power Up tournament have to
Yeah.
unite versus the
Okay.
universes that were previously destroyed.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
And you see the other universes that were destroyed, and on top of that, you also get to see the Mother of Angels.
Oh. Is it an
Versus
anime or is it
nah,
like a manga?
it's a fan fiction manga.
Okay. I read one, Dragon Ball New Hope.
Yeah,
Um, that one's really good. Totally different premise, but like I found the art. I was randomly searching on Google for something, and I'm like, I don't remember this panel from Dragon Ball at all. And I followed the link and I followed the trail of breadcrumbs,
yeah,
and uh, takes place as if Cell beat Gohan, and then he takes off. I forget where he goes. It's been a while since I picked it up. And then the New Hope is Goten. Krillin survives. He trains up Goten, and there's a whole bunch of cool battles in Netherworld. It's definitely one to check out for sure. I'll send you the
yeah.
link.
I'm definitely gonna check that out. But I'm definitely gonna send you the link to that. Check that out, bro, because it's fire. It's everything that you would want Dragon Ball to be without Goku.
Okay.
As hard as that to believe, like you have Vegeta commanding an army of Saiyans. You got
Okay.
Gohan training with the Galactic Patrol now with Jiren and Universe. I think they were Universe 5 or 3.
Okay. Okay.
You got Krillin, Tien, and Yamcha training with the Dangerous Trio. It's it's insane because it's like it takes everything that you would want in Dragon Ball, like really everything that a fan would want in Dragon Ball, and they just throw it at you, and they remove Goku out of the picture for at least where I'm at in it, because I'm a couple of chapters behind, and Goku is still nowhere to be found because they're trying to
Okay.
go save him and whatnot. But they basically give you everything you would want from the other characters, like Goten and Goten and Trunks going to train with Whis. So much amazing stuff goes down.
Hmm. Okay. I'm definitely gonna check that out.
I'm definitely sending you the link, man. But just getting back to the point, what would you think would be like? What's more? Uh, how do I phrase this question? But how do you balance like shock value versus like storytelling?
It's really hard. I mean, there's two genre. I mean, I read horror in all of its subgenres. There's so many different avenues that it goes down. And when I was sending out arcs to people, I was trying to subgenre myself, and I'm like, I couldn't kind of find one that really fit.
Yeah,
It's just kind of a jambalaya of all the horror I like. But there's two subgenres that I read a lot of. One is splatterpunk, and one is extreme horror. Now, a lot of the time, these two get confused and kind of mixed into one exactly same genre, but they are very distinct. So
yeah,
with splatterpunk, violence helps the story progress. There's a lot of extreme violence, but it tells a story. There's a point, usually some sort of punk-y statement, a commentary on something in society or something along the lines. And then with extreme horror, violence is the story. The story is extreme violence. There isn't really any other point to be other than to be violent, extreme, and gratuitous.
yeah,
I do like reading some of it. Some of it's just that's a subgenre that's really convoluted and just filled with a lot more misses than hits, I think.
yeah,
Um, I try and avoid doing anything if I think it's for shock value. Um, I'd rather kind of just tell it, but sometimes it can be shocking if I kind of look at it, and if I think it's just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really think I ever kind of put anything just to be shocking.
Yeah.
Um, I just think it naturally will be shocking. At least I hope it will be.
Okay, cool. So you use it more instead of just being like, all right, cool, let me just throw this in there to like kind of throw the reader off. You want it to like naturally progress into like this unveiling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think down the road, I mean, I don't know if I could ever write a whole book of it or even a novella, but I do think I have a few extreme horror stories in me that are just violence and shocking for shocking's sake.
Yeah.
But that's not really something that I quite enjoy writing as much, but I do really like extremities, and I don't always. I really enjoy quiet horror too. I like kind of unsettling atmosphere, just kind of not always there. Just you kind of think it's there. I mean, I don't know.
I
That was a
feel
long-winded way of saying I don't know.
you. How important is like pacing? Because I know like when it comes to like certain subgenres of horror, like the pacing is really important of like how the progression of the story is and all that stuff.
I mean, I think pacing is important no matter what you're writing. I think we've all kind of read a book where you get like a quarter of the way through and you're just like, oh, nothing has happened, and it's just a slog to get through. I mean, there are a lot of slow burns that I've read that are really good. I kind of feel that my novella was a bit of a slow burn. It was more character driven. I wanted you to really get to know Walter as it was going through. Um, and I personally felt it was a slow burn. I felt I saw a lot of the reviews had people saying it was a slow burn, but then I saw a couple reviews that refuted that. They were like, I've seen people say it's a slow burn. I disagree. Uh, I think it's important. You got to always be moving forward. But I also think it depends on the story. I mean, if you read any like thrillers and stuff, they have short chapters, really fast paced, and you got to just keep moving, keep turning the pages. I try and implement, I do read a lot of thrillers. I try and implement as much as that. I, I want to leave a cliffhanger at the end of a chapter, try and keep chapters short if I can. Um, but you want to always be moving forward. And I think a lot of people can get crippled with the writing the story, doing the first draft, kind of taking time to make sure it's flowing properly. I think if you just spit it all out, you can really cut out anything when you do your first run through of the draft. And I definitely cut a lot out.
No, I feel you on that. Um, do you think that you would ever like write a comic or manga?
Yeah, actually, in 2013, I had an idea for a five book miniseries. I wrote two, and I started third. Um, but at that point in my life, I had like no money, and it it costs a lot to make an independent comic book.
Oh yeah,
Um, and I mean, there's a lot of artists out there trying to get their work out there, but at the time when I was looking around, the artists that were offering their work for free really weren't the vibe I was kind of looking for.
I
Um,
feel you.
I do think I have it in me, and I would love to explore writing in so many different ways. I'd love to write a short film. I'd love to write a film, a script, in that kind of respect if I could. Um, I just love telling stories.
I feel you, man. I feel you because I'm asking because I kind of like started writing my own like fan fiction and whatnot,
Okay.
and it kind of evolved into like its own anime.
Okay.
So I was just wondering, like, maybe you had like some more experience, and you could kind of like guide me on that. Um, but that's neither here or there. So like, what would be like your ideal medium besides like books? Would you want to go into like the silver screen, or do you just want to keep it like straight reader, author to reader kind of thing?
I mean, I'm probably most comfortable writing like stories to readers. But as much as I do love reading, I do love the medium of film. I think I mean I love music, I love photography, I love filmography, I love a well written script, I love drama, I love acting, and the thing I love so much about movies is it kind of combines all of that to move a story forward. I mean, the best movies have all of those points, all those boxes ticked off from music, acting, script, direction. You know, it all comes together, and I do love that. Um, I mean, maybe one day, but I mean, I got a lot of novels in me right now, so that's kind of where I'm focused at the moment.
I feel you on that. And I know the roomies is looking forward to those novels as well. Is there any like when you're writing a horror, right? Is there any line that you won't cross, or like you're like, whoa, I will not write about that, never.
Hmm. I don't like to say never. I
All
mean,
right.
there are definitely some things that I don't know if I would ever be comfortable writing. I mean, I've seen so many fucked up movies, and I've read so many messed up books, and I mean,
Yeah.
some of it I don't know. Um, I don't want to say never though. I mean, I think that if the story called for it, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to writing it. I know there's a lot of subject matter that I don't know if my brain would ever really go to with a story. Um, but again, I don't like to say never. I mean, I my I just finished my next work in progress on Sunday. That was had a little more extreme elements, and there was a couple parts that I wrote that I was like, ooh, like this one's tough to get out. But I mean, I don't I don't like to limit myself, so at this time I'll say no.
All right, but all right. As a horror writer, what do you think horror? How does it? How can I phrase this? Do you think that horror says something important about society, or is it just entertainment?
I think it can be a little of both. I mean,
Okay.
that genre I was telling you about, splatterpunk, it really kind of speaks on an outward, rather a lot of different topics. It's usually kind of edgy, kind of something important, whether it's political space or, I mean, it usually has some sort of a message. Um, but I also do think that there's a lot of horror out there that's just kind of entertainment. There is no real point other than being fun. I think if you've watched the Terrifier movies, I mean, I love them. A lot
Yeah.
of people love or hate them. When I watched the first one, that was kind of just violence and gore for gory's sake. There wasn't really a story. I saw that there was a second one out. I wouldn't have watched it if it hadn't have been for the actor who played Art the Clown. I was
Yeah.
impressed. I was impressed with his performance. He's a classically trained mime. It was fantastic. So it's like, yeah, I'll give the second one a shot. And it's one of my favorite horror stories. I mean, we still got number four to come out to kind of twist that.
Yeah.
But the first one, really just entertainment for entertainment's sake. So I mean, a little bit of both.
I'll feel you. I'll feel you. When readers finish one of your stories and sit there for a second, what do you hope the feeling that they? What do you feel? What is the feeling that you hope they get at that moment?
I want to buy the rest of his books.
Fire.
um,
And roomies, make sure
uh,
to go buy the rest of his books.
um, I think it depends on the story. I mean, the when I wrote the dummy, I didn't set out to do it, but again, this story just kind of progressed on. Um, uh, I really spoke on, or at least tried to speak on, unresolved trauma. I think
Okay.
that a lot of people, I think a lot of people in all walks of life have trauma in some way or another. But I think that sometimes, especially if that trauma is bigger, it can sit and it can fester. And I think a lot of people, myself included, will try and avoid it or don't want to deal with it because it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it can be really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that if we don't focus on healing the parts of ourselves that are hurt, those can really uh, grow into bigger problems. I think they can manifest in ways that maybe we're not even realizing, whether you're just like getting impatient with something throughout the day or short tempered or certain little things trigger you and you don't really know why. I think that um, I think it's important to kind of do the work. I think
Yeah.
everybody should do some therapy. I don't think there's any shame in it. I mean, I think
Definitely not.
there's a lot of people need it more than others, but I still think there's a lot of stigma towards that. And I really wanted to explore what could happen if there was something maybe you didn't even remember, and what if something got a hold of that and used it against you.
I'll feel you. And let's say that after this podcast is over, right? And the audience member is like, I want to check out one of Johnny's books, right? Which story you think they should start off with, or what's your recommendation for them?
Well, at this time, I only have the dummy. It's I just published it in January. It's the first one I've done. Um, I think I will have three by the end of the year.
Woof, let's
Um,
go.
yeah, I just finished one. I'm gonna try and get it out before July. July 1st is Canada Day, and there's a bookstagrammer on Instagram who started Canadian Indie Horror Month, where
Mhm.
all the bookstagrammers and readers of horror read Canadian authors. Seems to be really big in Canada, obviously. So I want to try and get it out before then because Canada has some amazing horror authors. Um, that one's going to be called Mischief. Um, it's gritty and involves a lot of rats and feminine rage.
Okay.
Um, so that would be good. I kind of examined society and maybe the criminal justice system a little bit and the ways that it can kind of uh, fail us. I
Yeah.
think it does. I think it does do a lot of good, but I think there's a lot of repair that criminal justice systems all over the world can fix. So I touched on that a little bit. Um, So I don't know. I haven't even done my first draft run over yet, so I don't know if that'll be better than this. So finish this podcast. Definitely check out the dummy because that's what's out right now.
You heard them here. You heard them, roomies. Make sure to check out the dummy. And before we go, Johnny, I always ask all my guests this: do you have any final thoughts, advice, or words of wisdom for the roomies?
Ooh, if there's something you want to do, you got to dream, even if it seems grandiose or too big to be true. You've had a million people tell you not to do it. I think that if you really, really, really want to do it, you should do absolutely nothing but work towards that. Um, I think that if everybody in the world really did the thing that they wanted to do more than anything, instead of kind of fitting into the mold of what you need to do and what society is demanding you, or what your parents are telling you to do, or what your spouse is telling you to do, what you think you should do. I mean, I think the world would be so much better off because everyone would be a lot more happier. And I know that sounds a little easier said than done, and it definitely is. You It's going to take work. You got to put in the work for sure. But other than that, on a smaller scale, be kind. Just be kind to everyone. Be kind to one another. It sounds like Ellen DeGeneres, but I think, especially at this time in the world, that I think everyone could benefit just from a little more kindness.
Yeah, being kind to being kind to people right now is what the world needs. what
100%.
I think what they said, all we need is love right now. I think that
Yeah.
was one of those. And with that being said, roomies, I'm leaving you guys off with this one. Be kind to one another, love each other. And right now, the state of the world is kind of shitty. So try to make it less shitty by being good to one another. That's really it. With that being said, peace out.